believe me, this is what they think. Yeah. The second question is how to stop Iranian bases around us. Well, the first thing is don't build any more of them. And if we have a disagreement today with the government, it is that the promise of additional Israeli withdrawals today means that the IDF walks out and Hamas walks in, and if Hamas walks in, Iran walks in. Essentially, this is what has happened, not by design. I don't think this was the purpose, neither of the Barak government when it unilaterally and hastily left Lebanon in 2000, nor of Sharon's government when it left Gaza unilaterally. But the result has been the same, a tremendous increase in the power of Iran's proxies, of Hezbollah and Hamas. We have Hezbollah now with a tremendous base, and you can see that the international guarantees that were supposed to stop the flow of arms did nothing of the kind. And so we not only had 4,000 rockets fired on the Galilee from that base, but we now have 40,000 rockets which are aimed at every part of Israel. And at the same time, the same thing has happened in the south. We've had, by the way, a tremendous increase in the power of Hamas. It actually wasn't only politically strengthened, but very shortly afterwards it militarily just took over the Gaza Strip and kicked out the Palestinian Authority. And it's developed a base. They've rocketed 4,000 rockets, that's the number, since the unilateral disengagement, 4,000. By the way, the rate is, I think, about, just if you take equivalent time periods, the increase in rocketing is, I think, now at the rate of what, 16 times, 18 times? I don't remember what it was, just to give you a feeling of what we're talking about. Tremendous increase in the rate of rockets. Maybe 10 times, I'm not sure, but it's in that order of magnitude. And of course, it's arming itself also. So we've got two bases that were created as a result of not having a partner there and not having some security arrangements. We withdrew, they came in, as recent history. Now the question is, what do you do? And my point is, first of all, don't repeat the mistake a third time. Because if we walk out here, there'll be an Iranian base here, right here, across this street, on the other side of the street. That's what will happen. Now, we can stick to political correctness and pretend that that's not going to be the case, but it is going to be the case. And the reason that is the case is because of the endemic weakness in the Palestinian society and the absence of sufficiently strong structure in society, not only leadership. We always think it's leadership. It's not only leadership. It's that society itself is not strong enough to resist the onslaught of Hamas and the militant Islamists. So what do you do about that? Well, theoretically you have two options. One is you repeat the mistake, close your eyes and hope for the best, and it's not going to happen. And that's not something we recommend, to put it mildly. And the second option is to do nothing, and I think that also has its costs, and I don't recommend that either. But what our program is, and I'm glad to see that at least pieces of it are being adopted, and in fact they're trying to implement it. The American governments and others are trying to do something about it. Tony Blair, is to create stability and progress in Palestinian society, to deprive the recruiting ground for the militant Islamists and to create, as I call it, bottom-up hope. And how do you do that? Well, the first thing is you've got to maintain security, because if security collapses, everything goes down with it too. So we recommend that we maintain security, because effectively, if we leave, it's not that Abbas will protect us. It's by staying, we protect ourselves, and incidentally, we protect Abbas too, and the Palestinian Authority. Our goal is to protect ourselves, but this is the byproduct. And the second thing is that we develop a series of economic projects in defined zones and push them forward rapidly. They have to be, among other things, not only infrastructure, not only money, and primarily not monies that go to the regime, but actually projects that are market-based, that actually have a business logic to them. And I think we know how to do that. And if we form the government, and there's a good chance we'll form the government, I intend to work with the Palestinian Authority to develop that. The third thing is something the international community has to do, and that is to ask and demand of the Palestinians to develop institutions of law and order, some judicial institutions, financial probity. This has to be done. Otherwise, if you just have an economic growth, that money will flow back to terror soon enough. So you've got to build foundations for society. And what we say is we give security to the Israelis and the Palestinians. We give prosperity and institution building to, we don't give, but this is the process we advocate, to the Palestinians. And then we can proceed through this corridor to political negotiations. If we just promise, as a shelf agreement is called, it's a supermarket idea. You come to a supermarket, you buy on the shelf something called peace. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. Because in fact, you'll be signaling to the Hamas and the other militant Islamic radicals, Israel is already leaving. Now it's just a question of brooming these people, brushing these people out quickly, and you do it with terror. So the opposite result will happen. This is putting the horse, what I'm suggesting is putting the horse before the cart, and not the cart before the horse. And I think we've had enough experience now to know what works and what doesn't work. And we've seen the economic peace work elsewhere. We've seen it work in a different context. In Ireland, I'm not sure that it's not working now in Cyprus, even though these are huge problems. But what you see is that prosperity breeds a partial agreement, which then breeds more prosperity, which then breeds additional agreements, or at least the possibility to tone down the acerbity of the conflict and also create hope. You know, if you build thousands of jobs, if thousands of jobs are created in the Palestinian Authority, real jobs, and people bring food to the table, their wages are rising, investments are done, believe me, that is worth 1,000 international conferences and 1,000 shelf agreements. So that's what we would do. We think that the way to prevent the spread of additional bases is to develop bottom-up development of security and prosperity as a prelude to political negotiations. I've been asked about the NIE report. Well, we have our own view of what Iran is doing. I must tell you, I mean, in all honesty, I think this is a widely, that's very kind of you, I have to say this. The service in this hotel is remarkable. But am I the only one? I mean, that's great, okay. Look, I think there's widespread agreement among the leading intelligence agencies of the world, of the Western world at least. I'm not sure if I would limit it to the Western world, that Iran is galloping to develop nuclear programs. Now, when Ahmadinejad, was it yesterday? Ahmadinejad, a few days ago, went on a grand tour celebrating another 6,000 centrifuges. What is he developing? What does he have those centrifuges for? When they're building ballistic missiles that have only one use, ballistic missiles, long-range missiles have only one use. It's not to carry cement or medicine. It has only one use. When Iran is the second, I think, has the second largest or third largest oil reserves in the world, you know that their energy problem is not uppermost in their minds, right? So if it looks like a nuclear program, and it smells like a nuclear program, and it walks like a nuclear program, it's not a duck, it's a nuclear program.